Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here again for another edition of So Chatty. I'm not sure how long today's will be, but I was going to put in a little extra video in here today, but Walter talked me out of it. He thought I should put it up as a separate video. We'll talk about that in a moment. But right now, let's just take a look at what I've been up to, and then we'll take a look at what Walter's been up to. So here's my design wall right now. There's like three projects going on at once here. The ones that are the big stars, that's the beginnings of Adam So's one of his latest patterns called Jelly Roll Stars. And I talked a little bit about this on Tuesday and about why I'm doing the colors the way I'm doing them and everything like that. So I'm not going to go over that again. If you didn't see that, you can go back and take a look at it if you're interested. Then below that is part of the next chapter of the Art East quilt, second star from the right. This is John, the character John. I still have more pieces to go on him. So, and I did talk a little bit about that on Tuesday as well, and some of my trials and tribulations while I work on this particular pattern. That's not about the pattern, it's more me. And I am working on something that I don't know what it's going to be. I bought 3 blocks. You only see 2 of the designs here. The third one I haven't stitched out yet. And I'm thinking this might become a table runner, a Christmas table runner. I haven't decided how I'm going to organize the blocks or how many I need for it. So I just saw the blocks. They were on sale, thought they were kind of nice. They're poinsettias. And I thought, well, they'd make probably a neat Christmas table runner. I have a little box of Christmas projects that I'm putting things in as I get them done and other stuff. I have no idea where I'm going to, who's getting what, if anybody's getting anything or what, but I like to start early. Yes, it is Christmas in July. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. So Walter, update on your shirt you've been working on for months.
Well, I did the hem the other day.
Ooh, didn't hem and haw about that. I just hemmed it. And so what's left?
I just have to do the collar.
The collar.
I have to hem the sleeves and I put buttons on.
Oh, okay, so like still a third.
And I might put a pocket on.
Ooh. This is a shirt Walter's making for himself. It's not one for me. If it was for me, it would definitely have to have a pocket. So, okay, so Walter, though, has gotten back onto Lucy through a bit of a hiatus after we came back from Japan. And, well, he's doing okay. So this looks good.
I don't know. I don't think it looks that great. But...
Oh, I don't know. I kind of like that. This one over here. This one I kind of like in there, I think. But there's more. Your little circles up there at the top aren't bad. Was that done with a ruler?
Yeah, it was. The one, that one and the one next to it.
Oh, this one with the little arcs on it. Oh, well, they're coming along. And now here's the border treatment. Yeah.
I got a little screwed up at the corner.
Yeah, but not that screwy.
And I got screwed up towards the end here. I accidentally started doing it from the edge, not from the center.
So it's a variegated feather.
So, but that's okay. I was getting tired, so.
Yeah. Coming along very nicely. And, you know, like we see all the flaws that you've made in it in this because it's on a solid.
Yeah.
If it was in a quilt, you wouldn't see a lot of those.
Yeah.
You know, okay, maybe not yet at the level of doing a quilt, but coming damn close to it. So what's your plans here? More practice on this?
I had to do some stuff on the inside. I was going to do some more last night, but then I got sidetracked, and there's a couple other things I want to do in the center there. But I don't know.
Well, you don't know. Just have to keep moving on this. It's coming along very nicely. I hate your guts. Okay, so announcements. Sewing with me on Wednesdays, as usual. Link in the show notes. Everybody's welcome. We had a new person this week. She didn't stay long. Don't know what that is. Well, she said she could only pop in for a little bit, but she wanted to come. So that was nice. New people are always welcome. Okay, this Saturday, which is at the time of recording this tomorrow, the 11th of July, 2026, I am having Stephen's birthday bash pop-up sew day. Say that fast 5 times. I have this every year close to my birthday. Tomorrow is not my birthday. It's not till Tuesday, but I had to do it on the weekend that's closest to it. And it's somewhat like every other pop-up sew day. Come and go as you please. But on this one, there will be prizes as well. And there's one stipulation about winning a prize. When a prize is drawn, you must be there on screen. You cannot be in the bathroom and then run out and go, "Woo, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here." Too late. You have to be right there on that spot in the screen to win a prize. Or your name goes back in for a future draw, and it'll be drawn for somebody else. So yeah, I'm a stinker, I'm a bugger, I'm a bastard. My party, I'll do this if I want to. But I hope many of you can join me. Now, the weather's supposed to be kind of decent this weekend, at least here where we live. So I know it's hard to, be inside sewing when the weather's really nice, especially when you come from a climate like we do. Like we get 3 days of nice summer, But anyways, everybody's welcome. So the link for it is in the show notes. And those of you on the mailing list, you already got the announcement with the link as well. You got 2 of them actually this week. You got it at the first of the week and you got it yesterday as well, just in case you misplaced it somewhere. Okay, and last week on Monday Morning Coffee with me, talked about the projects I'm working on and plans for Christmas projects. Yes, Christmas isn't that far away. It goes fast. And then on the Idiot Quilter, I mentioned, is it too soon for Christmas sewing? Are you one of those kind of people that leaves it until the 1st of December or worse, Christmas Eve, and then you wonder why you didn't get anything done? Or do you plan like me and start 6 months before Christmas, only to find that the stores don't yet have Christmas fabric in them, at least in my area? And that annoys me because, come on, people don't rattle these things off, the night before. And on live, we tried to take the mystery out of what the colors all mean in the pride flag and the different pride flags, and there's quite a few. There were ones there that we've never seen before. We didn't know they existed. And then of course what I call the alphabet soup, the gay alphabet soup. What do all the letters mean? And then we got talking about why do we need any letters at all? Because it's labels. Why do we need labels? But anyways, if you didn't see that, it's in the replay. It's up. You can check it out. Okay, so today we are going to talk about quilt kits, because if you're anything like me, I walk into a quilt store and they have an attractive quilt kit sitting there and I go, "Oh, I love it, I have to have it," and then I never get to it. I have kits that are probably 6 years old around here. Yeah, and I have a feeling other people are the same way. So we thought we would talk about the advantages and disadvantages of getting a kit, and then what are the advantages, disadvantages for the businesses that put these kits together or put them on sale in their quilt stores. Is there really that much of an advantage to them? And talk a little bit about how we're sucked in to buy kits, because there is a marketing technique for these. So let's just talk about the advantages. So you go into a store and they usually have a little center display or something, and they've got these kits and they're all attractively packaged and you can see the fabrics, and of course all the fabrics coordinate, and that's a plus. If you want to do a project, and if you're somebody who is fabric challenged, you're one of those kind of people that stands in front of all of the bolts of fabric and you haven't got a clue what you want, then a kit works for you, because all that guesswork is taken out of it, don't you think? Yeah, okay. Yeah. However, even though the fabrics all coordinate and whatnot, does that mean you're still going to do it? You always have, when we go on little sprees, we haven't done this for a while, but when we used to go on shopping sprees, I would come home with umpteen million different kits because I really thought these were going to be nice. Are they faster? No. Kit isn't any faster. You've got to cut your fabric. The only thing you're saving time on is the actual purchasing of the fabrics.
Yeah, I mean, like one thing is you might get a kit that has a theme and it coordinates everything.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Or it's a kit put together. A lot of times you'll get kits that have a panel with them. And a lot of people struggle with panels. You see the panel, you really like it. And I'm one of those kind of people, but then you don't know what to do with it when you get it home. And besides just putting a couple of borders on it and saying it's done, you might want to do something a little bit more elaborate. Um, well, I do have a pattern. You look down in the show notes, you will find some links to patterns that I developed for any panel. I had specific panels in mind, but I made a universal one as well. It'll work with any panel, but it's not a kit. You'd still have to pick your own colors and your own fabric choices and all of that with those. But at least it'll look more than just you slapped on a couple of borders. So they will often, I saw a kit at a quilt store in the area last week when we were up there. And I said to Walter before he went in, do not let me buy a kit. I do not want to buy a kit. And then I saw this. Actually, you're the one that pointed it out to me. Evil. Evil.
Actually, they had a couple of kits. One was the Halloween one.
Yeah,
And
the one
was,
with the owls. They were both very attractive looking, but they had the colors that I like. Like, okay, fall colors. I think everybody likes fall colors.
yeah, but they were vivid colors.
Yes, they were. And it was sort of a Halloween slash fall quilt. But the one that really grabbed my interest, it had a cat on it. And it was a panel. And I thought the panel, at least what I could see of it, because it was packaged very nicely. In fact, you saw the cat's face in the center of this package, and on both sides of the cat's face, they had taken the fabric and folded it into sort of triangles, sort of like chevrons coming out from the side. And of course, all the fabrics were coordinated along and laid out attractively in a row and everything for you. And I looked at the price and I thought, no, because one thing I couldn't see was the pattern that came with it. I don't know. I mean, they might have all those colors, but I have seen kits before that come with a bunch of colors and they have like the colors are there just to make three borders, a skinny one, a medium sized one, and a large one. Well, that's kind of boring. Now, it has its place if you needed to make a quilt really quick for, say, a baby shower gift or something like that, or you're giving it to somebody who really is not a quilter or knows nothing about quilts. They would be looking at these things as possibly a decor piece to throw over their couch or something like that. Then if you found a kit that had the colors they like in it, yeah, that might work. Um, I guess it depends on your purpose. But I almost bought it. But then I saw the panel out of the package and that turned me off because what I didn't know with the way it was packaged was this whole panel was not one cat. It was little tiny blocks, like, probably 6-inch, 8-inch squares with a different cat in each one. I mean, they were cute, but I don't like those kind of panels because it's like, okay, you got all these multiple things here and nothing says panel, like a whole bunch of these little blocks. You know what the type are. You've seen them and that. Now, if you like them or it serves your purposes, fine. But for me, no. So I did not buy it, even though I said I wasn't going to buy any kits anyway. So I stuck to it with that. But that was why. The other one we saw had your fall colors. It was sort of Halloweenish, harvest like kind of a thing. But again, it was based around a panel. I think that panel was a bigger one, wasn't it? Like it was a one.
Yeah,
It wasn't all
yeah.
divided up. But no, I didn't buy it. But you see, that's how they get you to buy them. You see them in the package. They've laid them out really attractively. And you go, ooh, that's so pretty. I gotta have it. And
That
then,
store seems to do that a lot.
yes, they do. They have a lot of different kits.
I think they package them or something because they seem to do that. They seem to have those, either that or they buy it from the same supplier that does that.
Maybe, but we're going to come to that discussion in a moment. But before we get there, um, one thing you know though, when you buy a kit and it has a pattern with it, or a panel even, you know the fabrics are all going to work together. It takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, I know. Like some people struggle with choosing fabrics
Yeah,
for a quilt. So if you have a quick kit, then your choice has already been made.
yeah. So I'll give you an example. You've seen lots of examples of this, but here's a kit I bought. Oh, when did we go to Berlin, Ohio? Was that 3 years ago? 2 years
Two
ago?
years ago,
2 years
I think.
ago? I saw this and it was a little more pretty. I took it apart and we wrapped it up sort of with it, but it comes with the pattern. It's these cardinals. It's a nice a great thing for winter and Christmas time and whatnot. And I thought, oh, I kind of like it. It looks nice. Thing was, though, I didn't get a chance to look at the pattern because the pattern is all sealed up. It's in a nice cellophane bag. And, you're really not encouraged to take the bundle apart because, once you take a bundle apart, you never get it back together again. Well, example right there. But here's what I found out when I did get it home. It's applique. The leaves are all applique. And I don't enjoy, well, I shouldn't say I don't enjoy. I've done applique before, but it's not biggie on my list of things to do. But those leaves, if I'd looked at it a little bit more closely, I would have figured that out
Yeah.
because there's no way you can piece those leaves. But you know what happened was I focused on the birds,
Yeah.
and the birds are pieced. Now I have debated whether to disassemble this package and put the fabric into my stash.
Well, you could also do it without putting the applique of the leaves on it.
Yes, I also thought of that. Or I give the applique a bit of a try. I mean, I've done applique before. I could do it. I have to be in the mood for it. Or, you don't, like you said, you don't have to use the leaves. You could use the pattern to make the birds, and you could do the birds like in a table runner, or you can use the birds in a bigger quilt and do some other blocks to go with it. I mean, that's the one thing with a kit. You don't have to do exactly what the kit has been put together for. Um, so, it depends on the price. I think it was a bit pricey. I think this was, I don't know what the price was. I think it was over $100 when I bought it. Might have been a little less, might have been 90 something, whatever. Now I've never really gone through the fabrics to see what the fabrics look like unfolded with it. I just took the pattern out to take a look at it. But there it sits, and I might do it. I actually have it sitting on my project table with, okay, maybe this will be the year that I will actually attempt this. I don't know. Another kit. Talking about two kits here. This one to the left, I've got it upside down, but it's a panel. And you know what I just said about panels, right? In a kit, but it came with the fabric and it's got that southwestern kind of a feel to it. And what appealed to me were these blocks. I thought those would be interesting. So, and I do like the color scheme in it, and I like the panel itself as well. Well, I've had that one for at least 3 years. That one's one that I bought up in that store that doesn't exist anymore in outside of Tilsonburg. I think it was outside.
Oh, there, yeah.
That one was the big. They had a lot of nice stuff in there, and I don't think they exist anymore, which is too bad. But yeah, so there it sits. Now this one I did take the fabrics out to check the pattern, but I mean I did that after I bought it. Now that $13 was not for the kit. That was, you could buy the pattern separate if you wanted to. So the pattern was $13, and I don't know what more I paid for this altogether. Now solar flare. Okay, you've seen it. It's been around. It's a Tula Pink. It's made with Tula Pink fabrics, and it is a paper piece project, foundation paper piecing. When I put my eyes on it, I went, ooh, that's pretty, but I don't really like doing paper piecing. And then Walter says, yeah, but it's on sale. And it was. It
Mhm.
was 50% off. And this,
And I have that kit for paper piecing too that I
yes,
haven't
you
looked
got
at yet.
sucked in
Yeah.
too with it. Um, well, it was the sale price on it. They only had one left. Get it now, and it was 50% off. And this was an expensive kit. Full price for this was over $300. So I got for 150 or change for that. And guess what? I have taken out the pattern and looked at it and went, "Oh God, no." Um, and I put it back in, and then I let it sit for a year, and then I get it out again and go, "Well, maybe this time." And I pull out the pattern and I look at it and go, "Oh God, no." Um, because I don't like
Maybe
paper
someday.
piecing. Well, maybe someday or maybe never day.
Hmm.
The fabrics in it, I don't have a picture of the fabrics, but you get an idea. It's tulip pink fabrics, and they are beautiful, the fabrics that are in it. So, I mean, I could always repurpose the fabrics for some other project. So I don't know. It's sitting in here. I haven't made a definitive statement, but here is the problem with kits. Another problem. That's what happens. You feel guilty. You find the kit in your stash and you go, "Oh, I forgot I had that. Oh, I really like that. I should do that. Yeah, I'll do that after I finish the other 12 projects I have going on right now." And you know what that is. That's procrastination. You never get to it. But you tied up all that money in it as well. So that's what I say. I spend a lot of money for this. Do I really want to take the fabric out and repurpose the fabric, like separate it all up? And or do I find another project that I'll use those fabrics for alone? I could. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it makes me feel um
And no, you're not going to send it to anybody because it costs too much to
yeah,
do.
that's right. Yeah, it's not, nobody's getting it. It's not being gifted to anybody or being sent to anybody, and don't even offer to pay for it in the shipping because no, 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 that's not going to happen. But this is what happens when you buy a kit. The other problem when you buy a kit is what happens is that you get working on it, you hate it because you can't usually see the pattern that's in the kit. I don't think when I bought it, I knew this was paper piecing. I didn't think about it.
Hmm.
I was excited because, ooh, this one stood out in this one little shop we were in and it was 50% off. And I went, ooh, and Walter didn't help. He's going, oh, look, it's 50% off. Enabler. And so I didn't even look at it for the wrap it. My standard line when I go in for stuff. Wrap it. Yep, I'll take that. Whatever. Um, so, I have money invested in kits and I haven't got my money's worth out of them because I've never done them. Now, I have done kits, and that brings me to some other things here. So, advantages: fabrics coordinate, they work with the pattern that's included with them, saves time in your decision making process for all this kind of thing. It might be on sale, which is an advantage, like this one, because that kit's been sitting on the shelf for a while. And it may have been a kit that was real trendy for the time, or
Yeah, because the store that we went into
was
actually,
in St. Mary's.
it's no, it was the one that Higlet or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was in
that's
St.
the one
Mary's.
that she tends to feature K
Cape
Facet.
Bassett. Yeah.
So maybe the people that like K Facet don't like Tulip Ink.
Well, could be. I don't know. Although in some regards, they're kind of this. They both have bright colors and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah. But it was on sale because I think that kit had been sitting there for a while and no one was purchasing it. Plus, it was at a regular price. It was over $300 for it.
Mm.
So you get looking at it. Do I love it that much, and will I do it?
Hmm.
But I didn't really think that this was necessarily a paper piece. My brain wasn't working that way. My brain was, oh, it's on sale. That's where my brain was going at the time.
Yeah, well, you weren't thinking paper piecing.
No, I wasn't. So there she sits. Okay, so disadvantages then to kits. Well, a lot of people think they're getting a bargain. If it's, even if it's not on sale, they think they're getting a bargain because it's a kit and everything like that. I don't know where your mind is going with that. It's still fabric. If a store puts the fabric together, they're going to charge you the same amount for the fabric as they would if you were buying it off the bolt. I mean, that's just the way it is. So it isn't usually any cheaper unless you get it on sale. And we already talked about why it would be on sale. In some ways, depending, it could even be more expensive too. There could be a little markup on it. And it depends on whether the store themselves put the kit together or whether they're buying the kits from another source. And that's where you might find them that they're a little bit more expensive if they're buying them from another source. Now, the biggest problem I have with kits is sometimes, and more than not, the kit won't have enough fabric. Oh, it will. According to the cutting instructions, it will have exactly that amount of fabric. It does not take into consideration if you do an oopsie. If you make a mistake or you cut something wrong, there may not be enough fabric to recover from that. And that's annoying, especially if you don't know how long this kit has been sitting on the shelf. You may not be able to get those same fabrics again. And even if you can get the same fabrics again, they may be a different dye lot. They may not exactly match what's in the kit. So there's lots of problems with that. And I have found that there are stores, and I'm not going to mention who, but it was one store we were at that I saw the cat kit. And I think they've gotten a lot better because they have a different owner now. But when they were owned by
The previous owner,
I bought several different kits there over the years. And a lot of them, I never had enough fabric. And I did mention that to the new owners once. And they said to me, shouldn't be any problem. We've got somebody, whoever is the cutter, is really good. Make sure there's always that. The magic words I wasn't hearing, though, was this: we overcut. You want to hear that if it's put together by a store. We overcut, which means they give you more fabric than you will need. They don't have to give you a lot more, maybe 3 inches, something like that on each one. I will gladly pay for that. I don't mind having fabric left over. That's okay. For the difference they're going to charge me if they do some overcutting, it's worth saving you the aggravation.
Well, maybe a lot of times they don't overcut because they'll get people in, and that some people are really cheap.
Well, yeah.
And they'll get people in and they go, I've got all this leftover fabric that I paid for, and I'm not getting my money's worth.
Yeah, well, those people, you say to them, well, you can make a second quilt then, can't you? Are you that bloody perfect that you don't make any mistakes? Nobody's that perfect. So, yeah, but you're right. There are ones there, I don't want to pay that
I mean, it's like the ones that, a long time ago, you went into a quilt store and you wanted backing for a quilt. And they talked to you were going to get a certain yardage. And they said, oh, well, that's way too much. You only need this amount, right? And you bought the amount that they suggested, and it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. And I always buy more than what I need for any I make mistakes. What can I say? You know that.
I buy too much fabric for my shirts. I know that.
And I don't mind having leftovers because you can do things with the leftovers.
Because I've had it happen before where I've tried to set in a sleeve or something and I made a bunch of mistakes and I end up wrecking the sleeve. And then I don't have, if I don't overbuy, then I might not have enough material left for a sleeve. So then I've got a half finished shirt. And
now I have heard of some companies that have, like they call it an oops pack or something like that, which for a little extra money, you can buy this package of fabrics that are in the project you are doing, the kit. I heard this in conjunction, I think, with one of the companies in the States that does a lot of blocks of the month kind of a thing. And the idea was you could buy this little additional package for $5 or $10 in case you made a mistake. In my way of thinking, why are you doing that?
Okay. They're doing it for the people that complain they get too much fabric with the kit, right?
Yeah.
So they've compensated for that by saying if you're the kind of person that might make mistakes, You can buy this optional leather package,
Okay.
or somebody that wants to feel like they're secure in
Yeah.
buying the extra,
That
right?
makes sense. That
Right?
that makes sense.
But you know when you buy the kit, there's supposed to be enough fabric in it, but you don't have any oopsies.
Yeah. So there's nothing more annoying than not having enough fabric. I have had some kits where, well, if I do a kit now, I am extremely frugal in my cutting because I don't know whether I have enough fabric in there, if it like it's just going to be enough. So, because I have been caught where, because of my own fault, I made an oopsie. I had to cut another piece or two of the fabric and discovered when I was getting near the end of the project, I didn't have enough fabric for one section. But I never throw out my little pieces, no matter how small, because I have been known to take those little pieces and make a strip or a square or something out of those little pieces to finish off the job because I didn't have enough. But then you got a whole ton of seams. So you want to avoid that. I mean, yeah. And so that's a disadvantage of buying sometimes a kit. You just might not have enough fabric for a comfortable error. Put it that way. Now, of course, the other thing about kits is they're not unique. If they have that same kit sitting there and there's 5 of them, 5 people are going to do the same quilt. Now, maybe that doesn't bother you. I mean, okay, the chances that it's kind of like ladies who have the same dress and show up at a party and someone's wearing the dress they've got, right? Nobody likes that. Well, it's the same with quilting. However, the chances of you seeing somebody else's identical quilt to yours are probably slim. However, there are some patterns that come out with kits that are really, really trendy, really popular. Everybody wants one.
Well, you know what sometimes happens when they do a class in a store and they have a sample quilt hanging up.
Yeah.
People walk in and say, "I want to do that exact same quilt." Well, right? So if they have a kit, they could get that exact same quilt.
Yeah, they can. But the stores don't make a lot of, in that scenario, the stores don't make up a lot of kits, mainly because they don't know how many they're going to sell.
Now you bought the bedspread that we've got
Yes,
as a kit,
as a kit.
right? They did that whole class as a kit,
Yeah.
right? But it wasn't made at the store. They bought
They bought that from a
yeah
fabric producer or whatever, and the whole thing. So, but I mean, the chances of it looking like coming in contact with, oh, there's 5 of us all standing here with the same quilt. But some people are picky about that. They don't want that kind of thing. So, and another thing that kits seldom include backing and fabric for binding. So you see the price on the kit, like the one that I showed you, the solar flare one. You know, regular price over $300 for that. That kit does not include, I don't think that includes, I'm pretty sure it doesn't include backing and binding fabric. So you still have to buy your backing and your binding. And there's a reason they don't include it, because it will make the kit go astronomical in price. Because here in Canada, backing fabric can run you anywhere from about $26, $27 a meter, like for wide back, to $40, $45 a meter for 108-inch wide back. So they put that enough in there, and usually I get 3 meters of backing fabric.
So you wouldn't need 3 meters here because it's 60 by 60.
No, it's a smaller quilt. Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd still need at least
well, you're
2 meters.
You're going to still need 2 meters. So that adds, even if you got it at $30 a meter, that's $60 more.
Yeah.
And then you need binding fabric. Now maybe you have something in your stash that you could use. Who knows? Probably do, actually. But it doesn't include those. And this is something that a lot of first timers, like people just getting into quilting, fall into. They look at it and go, a kit. A kit's a great thing. I'm a beginner quilter. I don't have to worry about picking the fabric and all that stuff. This should be good. And some kits will actually say the level, to say, confident beginner or something like that. So they figure, great, I will have success with a minimal amount of frustration with this, and I'm just learning and everything like that. And yeah, that could be. But what they don't realize is they don't have backing, they don't have batting, and they don't have binding material. So that's additional costs. And sometimes on kits, many times on a kit, it'll say backing and binding fabric not included. But sometimes they don't. Actually, I think the way to go with that is you need to, unless told otherwise, assume it doesn't. Because it probably doesn't. So that's a disadvantage of buying a kit too, or can be. Let's see. Okay, so to get us to buy these kits, they use the principle of FOMO, fear of missing out. And one of the ways is, which we already talked about, is attractively presenting the package, the kit. They don't just throw fabric in a bag with a pattern. No. They lay it all out. They fold it very carefully so it shows off all the fabrics in it and everything else. And they wrap it all up like a gift, almost. Some places will add a ribbon or something to it as well. Like that first one I showed you had a nice little ribbon on it.
And a lot of times kits are sold in like when you go to quilt shows and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because people are buying stuff and it's a convenient package for them.
Yeah, for them, because they don't have to cut fabric adequate. In fact, most places, you won't find many quilts shops or booths at a Quilter or something that are actually cutting fabric for you. They'll all be in pre-cut format or many kits. And here's just when we're talking about that, we got ripped off with a kit from one quilt store that the name will go unmentioned here. They specialized in supposedly African fabrics. They were beautiful. They had several finished quilts and that with these fabrics on display, and they had kits. I think you bought a kit. I did. And I think I bought 3 kits. I think I bought 2 table runners and a quilt. Well, Walter worked on his first.
Well, when I got it home, I looked at all the fabrics, and it was a blue and white base quilt. And I had looked at all the blue fabrics, and then I went looking for the white fabric, and it wasn't actually white African fabric. It was muslin.
Yeah, it was muslin.
And I'm sure that the quilt that they had on display was not muslin. It was quilting cotton. It was African white quilting cotton.
Now, since then, well, I wrote to them because they're not in my area, but they're an hour and a half away from us towards the west. I wrote to them and said, and what we just said, we're a little disappointed. That was muslin. I was told, nope, that's African fabric. That's exactly what you should have. That's it. And I said, but the one you had on display, I don't think was that. Oh, yes, it was. Well, we're going to argue with her because she's not that nice a person anyways.
Yeah,
I won't be buying from her in the future. But...
No, and so what I did do is I actually went back to that store and I ordered the African white fabric so that my quilt would have white fabric on it.
Now, I've had some subscribers. We talked about this way back a couple of years ago when this happened. And we did have a couple of subscribers said, well, they thought that there's nothing wrong with using muslin for backing, not backing, but for background fabric. Because that's what it was. It wasn't backing, it was background.
Yeah.
It
was kind of like blue and white squares.
Yeah.
So for the white part of the square, they were using the muslin.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could probably use that, but I wanted the real fabric. So.
Well, they're telling us it's African fabrics.
Yeah.
So that's what we bought it because it was African fabrics. But anyways,
I mean that's something what we should have looked at more carefully when we were in the.
But we wouldn't have been able to because, well, first of all, why would we?
Yeah.
We took them at their word.
Yeah.
That's what they were advertising.
It was packaged together.
Yeah.
With the African fabric, and I thought I was getting all African fabric.
Yeah.
It didn't really say on the outside that it was paired with muslin.
Yeah.
But
didn't tell you that. So now that is probably a rare case.
And then the excuse was too that, well, if it was going to be all African fabric, it would have been more expensive.
Well, yes, it would have been. And if I
it
want
probably
that,
would have been about $100 more because I spent about $100 in
Yeah.
fabric to get it.
but that's not an excuse. If I want to do, if that was going to bother me, that it was going to be $100 more, but I got actual African fabrics in that, then either I would pay that, or they had yardage, pre-cut yardage there. I could have just decided, well, I'm going to make your quilt using African fabrics, but I'll buy my own fabric.
If that had been pointed out to us, well,
Yes.
first of all, I may not have bought the kit.
Well, yeah,
Which that's what they probably would figure you would
Yeah.
do. But at least it was honest that they would point that
Yeah.
out to me.
but anyways, buyer beware, I guess. But okay, so that's maybe a rare incident.
And in that case, it didn't really say on the outside of the kit that that it was a mix of fabrics, right? Now that should have been on the outside
Yeah.
of the kit. Kits, be careful when you buy a kit. Make sure that what's in the kit is what you're expecting.
Yeah. And also, it brings up another point. Your kit usually has a pattern with it. That's why it's a kit. They have a picture of what the finished quilt looks like. They may have substituted one or two of the fabrics that are really close, but they didn't, whoever put the kit together did not have that particular fabric in stock when they made the kit. So they went for something that was very close. Now, you probably don't know this until you open it up because you can't open them up.
Yeah, and we've been in a store before where I've looked at a kit and it was all done in blues or something like this. And then you flip it over and you look at the fabric that's in there and it's greens or something, or
Yeah.
it's a different color. And I go, well, is this exactly the colors that are in the kit that are in this picture at the front? And they said, oh no, we changed the colors for different colorways or whatever.
So don't put it together as a kit.
Yeah, don't show me a picture.
Yeah, because that's misleading.
Yeah.
That's almost fraudulent.
Yeah.
You're not getting what you thought you were paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's standing over and you go, oh, by the way, you realize that the fabrics that are in this kit are not exactly the ones that are shown in the pattern. No. Doesn't say. I mean, if they did say that, then I would now have a choice to make. I mean, oh, do I really still want to do it? I can live with those colors. Or no, I really like it because of those colors that they're showing in the pattern. So you have to watch that too. Actually, talking about quilt shows or any place where there's vendors, those are probably the worst place to go to buy a kit. You know why? So much FOMO's happening. There's hundreds of people. Everybody's flocking to all the booths. You know what it's like. You can't move. Suddenly your brain kicks in. You go, I have to have a kit. I have to have something. They've got pretty things. Everybody's buying them. I have to get in there. I have to buy too. I don't want to miss out. FOMO. And that kind of stuff. Or they're saying 25% off. But here's something. It's a little aside here. 25% off what? Are they showing you what they charge for it regularly and then what the new price is with 25% off? A lot of times you'll go to these quilt shows and they won't necessarily have, or at least not readily visible, what the price is. You may see a sign on a table. Everything on this table, 25% off. Or $25.99 to $35.99.
Either that or they've jacked up the prices on their
Yes.
kits, like or whatever, just for the show.
Because how do you know?
unless you've seen it, let's say,
somewhere
somewhere
else.
else at a different price.
And that's the other thing. You don't often see the same kits, in all the stores.
Yeah, like I mean, let's
Sometimes you
say
do.
you have your eye on a kit like solar flare kit
Yeah.
or something like that, and you do a search on the internet, you may find different prices for that kit all over
Yes,
the
you
place.
will find different prices, a lot of different prices. So, yeah, I guess you have to, if you're really concerned about that, you need to do some research. But in the throes of a quilt show or of a vendor mall or something like that, you're not taking the time to go through and look at everything up on Google and the whole bit. You just take it. You go, oh, I love it. I'm going to buy that. And it's the frenzy. I mean, I know how many of those I've gone to, and oh yeah, I was only going to spend maybe $100. 1,000 later, yeah, those days are a bit over now because I'm pretty saturated with fabrics and stuff. But I used to do that. Yep. And it was all because, and that's how I got a lot of my kits. All because, oh, I gotta have that. I love it.
And I even ended up buying a couple of kits, even though I don't
Yeah.
quilt, because
You got caught up in it too?
I see something, oh, I like that. Maybe I'll do that,
Yeah.
and then take it home and find I never do it.
Yeah. So now the advantages to businesses, in my opinion, I'm not a business, so I might not be completely accurate about this, but in my opinion, advantages to a business selling kits is they have no fabric they need to cut right then and there for a customer because that takes up time, that takes up space. Yes, somebody had to cut the fabric, but if they're buying the kit from another source, they don't have to do any of that.
Not only that, they not only cutting the fabric, they don't have to negotiate with the person as to what colors of fabric
Yeah,
that they're buying.
which takes up a lot of
Yeah.
time for the store people. Um, it's a way for the store to clear out fabric stock. Like they might make their own kits because they have so many bolts that only have a couple of meters on each bolt or something like that. So they might actually have a pattern and they can make a couple of kits or 4 kits or something out of those fabrics they have on those bolts. And that's a way of making shelf space and getting rid of last year's
Yeah,
line.
like or not just elaborate kits like this. Like there's ones that they do make kits for making bags or
Yeah,
something,
bags or
or
pillowcases,
pillowcases or something like that.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Now it is a good way though for kits to promote classes that they're going to have, that they're going to make a quilt. Like Walter said, I bought that kit for a quilt we saw in one of our quilt stores that is now on our bed, and they had me. I didn't want to take it as a class, but they had a little sign on it, available as a kit. And when I saw that, I went, I'll take it because it was a whole lot of, and I've shown it on here. It's I forget what the name of that quilt was. Do you remember?
Something to do with the ocean.
Oh, sea, no,
Stormy seas.
stormy seas,
Yeah.
stormy seas. Yeah, and it's all in batiks, and I love batiks. But there's a lot of different batiks in it in colorway, and if I had gotten the pattern and tried to find all of those fabrics for it, I probably would have lost all my hair with that. So when I saw kit available, I went wrap it.
Yeah, because you also wanted to do that particular one, the one that was that color.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
in
I
the
wanted
store,
that
yeah.
colorway and everything. Like one of those people who come in, I want
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But they had a kit, so it was there. So and that one I did.
And like the example of pillowcases, I took a surgery class once,
Oh yeah,
and was sold a pillowcase kit to demonstrated doing a pillowcase kit. And
so that was another
yeah,
way to get. And I mean, okay, that makes sense because inventory is money. That isn't, they're not getting anything for it. It's tying up their capital with stuff that it may not be selling. So I can see why they might want to take some of these things, make them up into an attractive looking kit and sell them. And I don't think there's anything dishonest about that. It's just a way of clearing
the
out
way
for
a
new stuff.
store making money.
Yeah. Now disadvantages though of having kits to a store could be it becomes old stock really quickly. I mean, in this day and age of the internet, there's kits galore there. And certain stores that are online, or certain designers or whatever, maybe running classes on these with the kit. It's all to make, to do sales and things like that. Online, that's one thing. In an actual physical brick and mortar store, not everybody's quilt store is very big. And, the one we go to all the time, our favorite one in our area, it is very tiny and it is jammed to the rafters with stock. So these things take up space. And if they're not selling, then they've tied up money into inventory that they can't get rid of. So, that's when they go on sale too. If not enough fabric in the kit, you could turn customers off the store. And this exactly happened to me before the new owners took over this other store, where I had bought a couple of kits over a period of time. They were table runner kits. Looked really nice, and they were really nice. I was very careful with my cutting, the whole bit, and I didn't have enough fabric. I bought an Art East kit, not from Art East. I bought it from another quilt store that was a vendor at the Canadian Quilt Show in Halifax a few years ago. And I bought the kit, and I started working on the kit, and I didn't have enough fabric.
I thought there was one that you had that was an Art East and there was way too much fabric.
No.
Oh, I thought there was one that there was a kit that you were working on. You had a lot more fabric than what?
Well, if John puts the kits together,
Yeah.
you won't have to worry about a shortage because he overcuts for it. But this was not done by Art East. It was their pattern, but the kit was put together by the store for the show. And there wasn't enough fabric. Well, the thing was, first of all, the store was in Halifax, or in Eastern Canada. Second of all, I didn't work on that kit until months after I bought it. I made it work from fabrics in my stash, and it wasn't because it was my error. It was not my error. It just wasn't enough fabric for a part of it. And that's very annoying. And so, if I could remember the name of the store, and if I happened to ever see them again, I would be hesitant to buy a kit, at least from them.
Yeah.
Now maybe they made a little error. Maybe if I'd contacted them and told them the problem, maybe they would have made it right. Maybe they would have had some more of the fabric. If I told them which one I was out of, maybe they would have sent it to me or whatever. But it was months, probably a year by the time I got to that kit and did it. So, it's after the fact at that point. Another thing too is, and this is nasty on a customer's part, they will open the kit to pull out the pattern, to look at it more closely, or to feel the fabric. Now, those kits are usually sealed really well. Why is that? They don't want people pawing through them, because once that package gets opened up, they have to try and reseal it, and it always looks like it's been resealed. And I know if I see something like that, I go, oh.
You don't know if there's something missing.
Is something missing out of this or what? So it may not sell. Now, I have seen people go up to a counter in a store with a kit and go, would you mind, could you open this up for me, please? And so I can take a look at the pattern a little bit more. I'm just not sure if I want it. They hesitate. They don't want to do it because, well, I've watched them take them apart, open them up, and they have to be really careful because if they've got to reseal it. If this person doesn't buy it, then they don't want anybody to think, what we just said about an open package. I get it, why people would want to do that. I think the best ones, the way they're packaged, are the ones that will have the front page of the pattern on the top of the pile, and when you flip the whole kit over, you'll see the back page, which often has the fabric requirements, not the cutting instructions, but the fabric requirements. And they'll show little pictures, little thumbnails of each of the fabric. I think those are the best way to package them, because then you have a better sense of what you're getting yourself into with it. But that's just rude to open up a package like that. Okay, so I don't think there's anything more I can think of. Do you think of anything else about kits to beware? I guess,
Also,
yeah,
make sure what the finished size of the quilt should be on there
yeah.
to make sure that it's the size that you want.
Yeah, that's kind of important. And I have a tendency not to look at that. And you should, because that determines how much you're willing to pay for something too. Like you can see a really beautiful quilt. Like I'm looking at the one and I don't think there's any size on it in
Not
that.
the desert
No.
sunrise, but
But
the tulip pink has it
but the
60 by
tulip pink
60.
says it's 16 and a half by 16 and a half. Well, that's not a huge quilt. Um so if you're looking at a kit and you figure you're going to get a queen size out of it or you want a queen size out of it, well, got to look at the measurements. It may not be that big. Plus, it may be a little overpriced for the size. There's other factors that play into that. I mean, the type of fabric, how much of the fabric's there, the different colors, all that kind of stuff. If it says tulip pink, it's going to be a premium fabric. So it's going to cost you a little bit more in that case. But that's not something, I don't think a lot of people necessarily look at that real quick. You see a picture.
Yeah.
And you're looking at that picture and they show a chair in the foreground. That looks like a big quilt.
Yeah, it does.
I don't even think that's a real chair. I think
No.
that's been graphically created.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it would make it look like it's a really big quilt.
Yeah.
But when you read it at 60 by 60, that's not massive.
Yeah. And on this other one that I have upside down here, this picture doesn't show you at all what size that is.
No, and if it's a panel, it's probably not that huge of a quilt
No.
either.
Well, a panel is usually in around somewhere about 40, 42 inches long and maybe half a meter or a meter wide. And it's got, so yeah, that's not a big quilt. That's there. It's more of a lap. So yeah, so you never know. You gotta think about those things too. I don't. I'm not saying I'm perfect on all that. I don't. I have bought kits before and then I get it home and I start working and realize, oh, this is not going to be that big, is it? So, yeah. Okay, so the bottom line is if you're thinking about buying a kit, only buy it if you have a specific purpose for it. You want to make a baby quilt. You want to make a housewarming gift. You don't want something that's going to take you a long time. You don't want to have to think about what you're picking for colors and all of that. Then a kit might be for you to buy. It might be worth the investment. But if you're looking for an elaborate quilt, something that is going to be queen size or bigger, then a kit might not be appropriate for you. So you have to think about that. Don't be sucked in by pretty packaging because they look really pretty. And some places have a little table or something, an antique table set out and sort of as you first walk in the door of the place, and they're all these different kits are attractively outlined, and you go, ooh, that's so pretty. That's marketing. That's really good marketing. I was just thinking the other day, somebody did a video. They went down to Missouri Star Quilt, and one of their newer stores in Missouri Star Quilt in their little town there is they have it designed around a vegetable market, a farmer's market. But instead of fruits and vegetables, they have all their fabrics in cute little bundles by colors, all laid out in these nice, attractive baskets that look like, what you would find in a grocery store with peppers and zucchini and stuff in them. And it's like you're in a grocery store in the produce section, a high-end produce section, and all these fabrics laid out in that. I know what would happen to me when I'd go in there. I would just see the color and the whole bit. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Because that's the way I would be. The dopamine would be kicking into me, and I would be going, I don't care. Start the car. Start the car. I mean, I'd be filling it up. So yeah, we're all suckers for that. Okay, so the reason we talked about this today is because it was a suggestion that came from one of you. We were asked what we thought about that. They also asked about what we look for in patterns. Well, we've already done a video on that back some time ago. It's in there somewhere to hunt for it. And so this is why I say, you give us a suggestion, we will try to work with it. So please don't hesitate to give us some ideas for things that you might like us to see on here. Now, another thing I was going to do today, but this is already long, so I'm going to publish it because Walter told me I should. I've had the request about how do you avoid cutting the points off in when you're putting a quilt together. And I did this a lot when I first got into quilting. And now I'm a real stickler for points. If I want, okay, don't show me your quilt at a quilt show, because if it's got points involved in it, I'm looking at the points. And I'm going to point. They cut off the point. I am quilt police when it comes to points. I used to think, oh, well, it's okay. It looks fine because it's all going to be the same. No, it does not. Points are meant to be there. They're making a point. Make a point.
It's like that African quilt that I did. I didn't realize at the time that I was making it, I was letting the points go right to the point at the end, end of the block, right? And I didn't realize until after I was doing that they're going to be cut off when I sew them together.
And that's because of the quarter seam allowance. And a lot of people forget about that. I've done it. And you forget, oh God, I'm losing 1/4 of an inch. So that point's going to get cut off because it's going to be in the seam allowance. I have created a short video that runs about 14 minutes. I'm going to publish it here separately and show you how I avoid cutting off my points. Haven't had a lot of luck with this on the Alaska quilt, but that's because that's a totally different ball game.
You don't want to make a quilt that's pointless.
No. So that's a separate video, and you'll find the link for it in the show notes below for that one if you're interested in that. Okay, so just to finish up, there were a couple of comments that I highlighted from last week. Rachel says, I like sassy Mr. Walter. When I asked AI something on my phone, it started by telling me that AI was sometimes incorrect and inaccurate. At least it tells you so. So, you know, last week we did the whole talking thing with our echo in here. And yeah, that's something I don't think we did say. We may have said it, but you do have to verify the information.
Don't assume that AI is correct.
Yeah.
You do need to make sure that whatever it's telling you is correct.
Yeah. And Joanne G said, great show today. I really liked your conversation with Echo. I don't have a device I can talk to, but I have used AI chat and have been finding it very helpful. It is a bit scary how it remembers so much about you, though. And she's referring to how it was coming up going, Stephen, I know you really like blues and modern trends. And I never said I did. But it
from previous conversations.
And also from it saw what my searches were.
Yeah.
For quilting supplies or things like that. So yeah, that is very scary that it knows more about you than you know about yourself sometimes. And it's only going to get more comprehensive with that because it's building a profile on you. Should we be afraid of that? I think we should be wary. But at the same time, I don't think there's a heck of a lot we can do about it. So embrace it, I guess, and hope we don't get scammed. Okay, so thanks for the comments. Keep the comments coming in. I read every one of the comments. I try to make a comment about your comment where appropriate all the time, and this is where generates a lot of our ideas for this too as well. So I hope you got something out of what we talked about today, and yeah, pop-up sew day tomorrow, my birthday bash, there are prizes. So the link for that is in the show notes as well. So I hope to see lots of you there. And you don't have to stay the whole day. Come and go as you please. Okay. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay, fine. Walter is going to rush out to Lucy right now and do all this quilting. Okay. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Hi. I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.